Welcome back to the Mike and Andrew Show. I'm Andrew Sorwick here again with Mike Meredith. Mike, it is the eve of the NFL draft, of course. We're about 24 hours away from the draft beginning in Detroit. Um, but how you doing this evening, man?
Doing good. Yeah, it's gonna be hype tomorrow.
Yeah, I know you and our good friend Ian are going to be down at the draft, so definitely on Tuesday's episode we're going to have to talk about obviously everything that happened over the draft, but your experience being there as well on draft day. Um, but today we're going to get into our mock draft here. Mike and I are basically going to alternate picks. Mike's taking all the odd picks, I'm taking all the even picks, and we're going to basically build our own mock draft. So yeah, it's going to be very interesting. But first, before we get started with that, we're just going to touch on some quick news today, and that is the Lions locked up two players for 4 years apiece. Those two players being Amon-Ra St. Brown and Penei Sewell. Amon-Ra St. Brown getting $120 million on this contract, and 77 of that is guaranteed. And Penei Sewell becomes the highest paid NFL lineman ever with his 4-year, $112 million dollar contract with $85 million guaranteed. Um, it's interesting. I think at the very worst, Amon-Ra St. Brown is a top seven wide receiver in the league. I think he's definitely top three. He's just incredibly gritty. I think this is a great move. I saw a lot of people complaining about this for some reason, but it's like
People are gonna always
I know,
complain.
and it's crazy that they're complaining because like they're like, oh, but cap space and blah blah blah. It's like, well, look, we dealt with that when we were rebuilding. Rebuilding teams need cap space. Super Bowl teams need players, and
Yeah,
Lions are a Super Bowl team now. Get fucking used to it. We are going to pay players to be here. So I mean, I love the signing for Amon Ra, and I love the signing for Sewell. I think this might be the last year that Sewell plays at right tackle because you're not going to pay a right tackle $27 million a fucking year or $28 million
yeah,
dollars a year.
they're gonna move him to left tackle.
Yeah, I think
I
Taylor Decker's gone after this year. I really do.
yeah. I love these signs. You lock down two cornerstones of your team for 4 years. People are like, well, they made Amon Ra the highest paid receiver, and Sewell's the highest paid lineman now. But guess what? Next year, that number will be topped. That usually happens in all sports. I mean, the next guy up, probably like what Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, they're gonna get paid more. So there's no need to be crying that we're overspending. And like you said, man, now is the time to spend. Like who cares about cap space right now? And we are literally trying to win Super Bowls. So I love this. I love that they locked down two cornerstones. I think Amon Ra and Sewell are going to be around for a minute here, and to know now that they're signed, that kind of eases the pain that they, you know, we got them locked down for these next 4 years.
Yeah, it's a great signing. I don't know the people that are complaining are just idiots that don't know football.
They're
I
just,
mean,
yeah,
they,
they're
they're,
just
they're
finding,
oh, but cap
finding
space. Like,
different
here's the
things.
thing: the salary cap keeps going up every single year. I mean, it increased by damn near $40 million this year. So I mean, that said, you're basically just paying Amon-Ra St. Brown with that entire increase in the cap. So it's like you didn't really lose any cap space. You're only paying one of those guys essentially, if you think about it, for this past year's salary cap. So I don't understand these people. They're morons, but I digress. I mean, it's a great signing. This is great for Detroit. They got their two, critical positions locked down for 4 years. So, yeah, and now's the time to do it. But I also saw that Adam Schefter's report that Jared Goff's extension is nowhere near done with the Lions. So that is not necessarily a good thing there. But we'll get into that when we get into that. But now, Mike, let's introduce our first ever mock draft. So let's go. I mean, I don't think we need to really, you know, choose who's going first overall. I mean, but make your pick.
Yes, sir. So, with the first pick in the Mike and Andrew show mock draft, the Chicago Bears select Caleb Williams out of USC. I mean, all these people trying to be different, saying Drake May is going to go number one, Jaden Daniels, Marvin Harrison. Just no. It's going to be Caleb Williams. They've already traded Justin Fields. Caleb Williams is going number one. I think he's going to do really good in Chicago. I don't know if he'll be a franchise guy, but I mean, he's got the tools.
Yeah, he has the tools. I think I still don't think he's the best quarterback in this draft class. I really do think it's Drake May, but Drake May just doesn't have the hype around him that Caleb Williams does. So it is what it is there. But that said, with the second pick of this mock draft, the Washington Commanders will select Drake May, quarterback from Carolina. Plain and simple, I think Drake May is the best quarterback in this class. Um, he has all the tools that you need. I mean, he's a pocket passer, but he can move. Obviously his stats this year didn't look all too great, but again, he didn't have a good offensive line, and he had no weapons to throw to, and yet he still put up great stats this year. So I think Washington would be smart to sign him over Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes. I feel like a lot of mock drafts have had those guys 2 and 3, whichever order you want to take them in. Both, I think, are going to be really good. But with that, moving into the number 3 pick here on our mock draft, the New England Patriots stay at 3 and draft Jaden Daniels. They get their franchise QB and lock it down for the next few years here if he can pan out right away.
Yeah, I think Jaden Daniels. I mean, he was very stat padded this year. I mean, they were LSU was in games where they were up a ton, 40, 50 points up on their opponents, and they kept Jaden Daniels in there to stat pad him to get him to be a Heisman winner. That is partially why I think he's kind of looked so high up, is just because of the insane stats that he put up. But he's got all the physical tools to be a top quarterback in the league, and I think Arizona has just found potentially their new Tom Brady, but a mobile version of Tom Brady here. So with that said, I have at pick number 4 Arizona. They will be trading down to pick 11 Minnesota, moving up. And getting rid of pick 23 as well to Arizona to take J.J. McCarthy.
Mm-hmm. There we go. Was waiting for it, man.
I think J.J. has a ton of potential to be a good quarterback in this league. Maybe not elite, but I think he can be serviceable. He does not have a lot of game tape. He has very little volume to work with statistically, but I think JJ could easily become a good quarterback in this league. I think he has the tools to do it.
Yes, sir. Yeah, so I think that Minnesota trades up against JJ, whether they want to get him at 4 or at 5. I think that's going to be their guy. That's kind of what a lot of people have been projecting. But with the number 5 pick, with the Chargers now not having to trade down, I think that they take Marvin Harrison Jr. out of Ohio State. They give Justin Herbert that weapon. They've lost Keenan Allen. They've lost Mike Williams. It locked down Marvin Harrison Jr., him and Justin Herbert connection for 5-10 years down the road. I think that's an elite pick for them.
I mean, yeah, Marvin Harrison Jr. is the best wide receiver in this draft class, probably the best wide receiver prospect that we have seen in quite a while. Obviously, his dad was huge in the NFL, and I think Harrison, out of all the players that are in this draft that have fathers that used to play in the NFL, I think Marvin Harrison Jr. has the potential to surpass his father, unlike some of these other players. So I think, yeah, this is going to be a huge pickup for LA, who desperately need weapons. So yeah, moving on here to the sixth pick of this draft, the New York Giants. They will select from LSU Malik Neighbors. Another team desperate for weapons. I know the Giants need a quarterback, but I think there is big potential for the Giants to still select a wide receiver here. They desperately need it, and I think this would be the best player available for the Giants. So in the draft, you got to take best player available.
Yes, sir. This one, you got to toss up Dunze or Neighbors. I do think as well they were going to go with Neighbors, so I think that's a solid pick for them at 6. At number 7 here, with the Tennessee Titans here, I have them taking Joe Alt, tackle out of Notre Dame. He's, in my opinion, the best lineman in the class. I think that he is going to be a great left tackle for years. Tennessee, they've got pieces, but they're also rebuilding. So I think that Joe Alt's going to do great. They could really use some bolster up on that line. I know they just drafted Skronsky last year if they want to move him around or what they want to do, but can't go wrong with getting your O-line solidified.
No, you can never, ever, ever go wrong with solidifying your offensive line. They desperately need some help there, so yeah, I think Joe Alt would be a great pickup there for them. So with the number 8 pick here, Atlanta, they will. I'm taking. I have them picking up Dallas Turner, edge rusher from Alabama here. Atlanta, they had a really good defense this year. That said, I think if you looked at their defense, the one thing that they needed was an edge rusher, and I think this year for them at this pick with all these high priority offensive players going off the board in front of them, they get the pick of the litter for the defense that they desperately need. They already have offensive weapons. They have a good offensive line. And now they obviously don't need a quarterback because they have Kirk Cousins. So I think, Atlanta is going to take Dallas Turner here.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a super solid pick for them, man. Like I said, can't go wrong with that. Next here, the Chicago Bears on the clock again. Again, got that first pick from Carolina. I do think they are going to keep this. I know that people have said that they might trade, but I think at number 9 they take Rome Odunze and just boost through that wide receiving core that they have with that team. You got DJ Moore, Rome Odunze, crazy talented out of Washington. Caleb Williams going to have a weapon to throw to right away. DJ Moore on one side, Rome Odunze on the other. Chicago's looking to build up. And also, I believe Keenan Allen went there as well. So they're going to be stacked, man.
Yeah, they're going to be stacked. Personally, if I was Chicago in this position, I would get one of these offensive linemen off the board here. But wide receiver would not be bad either. Either way, it's an investment in Caleb Williams. So I think either a wide receiver or offensive tackle would benefit Chicago here at 9. So moving on here to number 10, we have the New York Giants, the New York Jets, taking J.C. Latham, offensive tackle from Alabama. Um, they desperately need help on the offensive line. I mean, you saw what happened last year with Aaron Rodgers and being out the entire season with that ankle injury, and it's because they had no offensive lineman. Latham, I think, projects to be an elite offensive tackle here, so definitely a top 3 offensive tackle. And yeah, the Jets desperately need that protection for their quarterback.
Yes, sir. I think that grab an O line, you can never go wrong with getting O line, at that spot.
So number 11 here is the Arizona Cardinals because of that trade that I had from Minnesota moving up to number 4.
Yes, sir. So at number 11 here, I do think that the Arizona Cardinals here, I think that they're going to go with Brock Bowers, tight end at 11. I think that he's just so good of a talent. He is so just pound for pound, like we said, the best talent, man. I think that you get him with Kyler Murray, it's gonna be deadly.
Yeah, I mean, if that's one position that Arizona needs, and it is, Brock Bowers is definitely the pick to make there. I mean, honestly, if you're Arizona, you need a lot of everything, and you got to go best player available. And I think at this point where we are, I would put Brock Bowers probably. I mean, honestly, I think he's a top 10 pick, and with all these guys going ahead of him, I think yeah, Arizona does a smart thing and they just draft Brock Bowers here. I really like that pick from you, man.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, number 12 here is going to be a very interesting pick here. I think kind of unprecedented, but they need it. The Denver Broncos will select Michael Penix Jr. from Washington.
Ooh,
I know Penix,
yeah.
he's not graded high, but Denver is desperate for a quarterback, so I think Denver's going to have to take a risk either on Bo Nix or Michael Penix. I think Penix is the better quarterback, so I know he doesn't have the injury, or I know he has a much more injury, prone quarterback. He's blown out both his knees, and he has that shoulder injury. But I think he's just more talented than Bo Nix, so I think Denver's going to go with him.
Man, that is a crazy pick there, but I really respect that a lot. They need that QB. They just trade for Zach Wilson, bro. Their QB room is Jarrett Stidham and Zach Wilson. That is not going to cut it
It's nobody and nobody in that QB room.
for real. Next here at number 13, we have the Las Vegas Raiders. I think the Las Vegas Raiders are going to take Olumu Fashanu, offensive tackle out of Penn State. Bolster that offensive line, get help there. I mean, they've drafted offensive linemen in the past that really haven't worked out, but I think Fashanu is a great pick here um, for the Raiders. With Joel being off the board, I think Fashanu is the next guy up, and I think he's going to be great. And also J.C. Latham was taken, so Fashanu at this point is by far the best tackle left.
Uh, so Fashanu, it looks like it's a drop if you compare him to a lot of these other offensive tackles that are potentially rated higher than him. But I mean, still, it's a good fit for Las Vegas. Although I think Vegas is in the market for a quarterback. I think yeah, it'd either be Fashanu or maybe Bo Nix, but yeah, I like that pick there. But on to number 14 here, I have the New Orleans Saints taking Talisi Fuaga from Oregon State, offensive tackle. They desperately need help on that offensive line, so I think, yeah, this is going to be a good pick for them. And yeah, I don't see any way that New Orleans walks out of this draft night without any offensive tackle here.
For real. That's a really good pick. For number 15 here, the Indianapolis Colts. I think that they take Terrion Arnold, cornerback out of Alabama. I think that at this point you can take. There's so many different defensive backs that are available, but I think Terrion Arnold is going to be the first one taken here. We've kind of talking about um, Cooper Cooper DeJean and Quinn Mitchell and Nate Wiggins as well. All very talented guys here, but I think that we're gonna go with the Bama kid here. Um, he's 6 foot, 200 pounds. Um, just someone who can really bolster that secondary for the Colts.
Yeah, the Colts need help defensively. Um, yeah, this is a good pick. I mean, you could honestly even take a wide receiver here potentially, which I've seen a lot of mock drafts do. But the Colts, I mean, best player available for them would be a corner, and yeah, I personally I would have put Quinion Mitchell there, but it is what it is there. But moving on here to number 16, there's a lot of ways I could go here for uh, Seattle here, but I'm gonna go with Troy Fatanu from Washington, one of the best tackles again in this draft. Um, they desperately need help on that offensive line to kind of insulate Geno Smith for at least another year before they try and get themselves a quarterback. And yeah, I think Fatanu, best available offensive lineman available at this point.
Yeah, again, just um, stacking up with offensive linemen here. Um, you can't go wrong in that aspect. Um, next here, at number 17, we have the Jacksonville Jaguars. And Jacksonville has a lot of different ways that they can go. But I think that they end up bolstering that secondary as well and take Quentin Mitchell, cornerback out of Toledo. I think that, again, just really good pick. Strong secondary is always going to be key in this league. And I think, like we said, Quentin Mitchell could have been taken at 15. I think here he gets taken at 17.
Yeah, this is a good pick. I think there's a good chance that this actually does happen, but I think realistically, um, if you had to pick between him and Cooper DeJean, I'd probably take him, but still not a bad pick here at all. So now moving on to number 18 here with Cincinnati. I think they are going to take Johnny Newton, defensive tackle from Illinois. They obviously need some help on the interior defensive line, especially with free agents leaving them. So I think, yeah, they're going to restock that defensive tackle room, and they're going to get themselves the top defensive tackle in this draft.
Yes, sir. Um, next here, we have the LA Rams, and I think that they try and fill that need that Aaron Donald left, and they end up taking a lot to out of UCLA here. I think that very highly touted prospect in this draft. I think he falls a little bit here. Some people were having him go as high as top 10. I think he falls here perfectly to the Rams at 19.
Yeah, I think that's a great fit for the Rams. I mean, they desperately need defensive tackle depth, especially with no more Aaron Donald. So yeah, this definitely helps them a ton here. So moving on here to pick number 20, I have the Pittsburgh Steelers taking Amarius Mims, offensive tackle from Georgia. Um, they need help on that offensive line. Mims will definitely give them a ton of help there. And yeah, so I think it's a good fit. Pittsburgh likes hardworking offensive linemen, and Mims is one of, if not the best, in terms of just work ethic in this draft for offensive tackles.
Yeah, for real. Again, just such a loaded offensive line draft here that um, I think that you can't go wrong with any of these guys, which I've kind of said a lot, but I think it's very true. So next here at pick 21, we have the Miami Dolphins here, and with the Miami Dolphins, I've been taking Byron Murphy, the second from Texas, D tackle. Also can play, and they signed, I believe it was Christian Wilkins, but again, just getting more help on the edge up front really bolster them up.
Yeah, Miami, they need tough characters, especially on the defensive side of the ball. And Byron Murphy is definitely that. I mean, I watched a ton of Texas football again this year, and I mean, he's one of the best defensive tackles here. So I think, yeah, the Dolphins, they need help offensively. I know they're gonna. I have a feeling they're still gonna take an offensive player here, but yeah, yeah. Number 22 here for the Philadelphia Eagles, we have. I'm going to have them take here. Who do I want to take? We'll have them take Cooper DeJean. They need help in that secondary. There's a ton of corners still available here too, so they kind of have the pick of the litter at this point, and I think Cooper DeJean is going to be a nice fit here in Philly, and he doesn't even have to travel all too far from Iowa to Philly as well. So I think just overall though, great fit for Philly.
Yes, sir. So now I believe at 23 we have Arizona, correct?
That is correct from that trade.
So we had them taking Brock Bowers, or in my pick, I had them taking Brock Bowers at 11. I think here they go defense, and I think they take Jared Verse out of Florida State. Great edge rusher. Again, got that guy on offense in Brock Bowers. Now you get someone on defense like Jared Verse. I think that they stack up very well.
Yeah, I think they stack up very well here. So, pick number 24 here, I have the Dallas Cowboys trading out of the first round, getting a trade from the New York Giants, who will select Bo Nix at number 24.
Yes, sir. That is definitely a very interesting pick there. I like it though.
Yeah, the Giants need a quarterback, and
Yeah.
I mean Bo Nix is the best available quarterback at this point. Dallas,
Malik Neighbors at number 6, so
yeah, exactly.
I like that because at 6 the Giants aren't going to be able to get the top 4 guys. They're going to be taken, so let those guys go. You get that star wide receiver, and then you get Bo next year. I think that's a very smart choice there. They can get that trade into the late end of the first round.
Yeah, and it works out for Dallas too. I think. I mean, they'll probably get a at least a second round pick this year, a higher up second round pick, and then probably a first round pick for next year out of it.
Yes, sir. So next here we have the Green Bay Packers at 25, and with this pick, I think that they end up taking Nate Wiggins. I think Nate Wiggins will go here. I think they take a defensive back with Cooper DeJean, um, Quinn Mitchell, and Terrion Arnold all being off the board at this point. I think it could go Kool-Aid, but I think they go Nate Wiggins here at 25 and get a defensive back.
Yeah, I like this pick a lot. Wiggins would be definitely a need for Green Bay, and he's easily one of, if not the best corner available at this point as well. So, yeah, Nate Wiggins, great fit there. Now to the other Bay team in this draft, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers will select Kool-Aid McKinstry, corner out of Alabama. They need help in the secondary desperately, and I think Kool-Aid will definitely be, available at them to this point. And again, best available player is the best way to draft. And I think Kool-Aid might not at this point be the best available player, but it also fills a need, and he's definitely at this point a top 5 player available. So I think this would be a great fit for Tampa Bay.
Yeah, that would be a crazy pick right there. I would love to see him fall to the Lions at 29 if the Lions stay at 29. We'll see how that goes, but yeah, I think that he is a super solid pick here. Again, these defensive backs are really good, and there's so many great ones in this draft here. So next up here at 27, we also have the Cardinals here. So Cardinals are really just stacking the board here, trading out of the 4th pick, getting 11. What was it, 20, 23, and then also now with 27. I have them taking Jershawn Newton, defensive tackle out of Illinois. Again, keep bolstering that defense. I think he's a very solid pick here.
Yeah, great pick here. They need, again, help everywhere. 2 defensive linemen in this draft in the first round. Kind of risky, but at the same time, I mean, they desperately need that help defensively. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do here. So moving on here to number 28, I have the Buffalo Bills taking Brian Thomas Jr., wide receiver from LSU. They need a wide receiver because they don't have Stephon Diggs anymore. So I have Buffalo here taking Brian Thomas Jr. from LSU, best available wide receiver at this point, I think. So, yeah, great fit here for Buffalo. They need wide receiver help, and they're gonna get one.
Before I get in here to number 29, which is the Detroit Lions, I gotta ask you: do the Lions trade out of the first round?
I think if the Lions were to make a trade in the first round, it would be to move up and not down.
Yeah, this draft is super stacked here. I think that, yeah, moving down, like I know that Brad Holmes has made a lot of good picks in the later rounds, but I do think that we could use a higher pick in this draft just because this draft is so stacked. But with our pick here at number 29, could go a lot of places here. All the really good corners are kind of taken. I don't think they'd go that route. We don't really need receiving help. We could use some D linemen or another edge rusher. But I have them taking Graham Barton out of Duke. I think because we lost Jonah Jackson in the off season, so even though our line's already stacked, just keep stacking it even more, man. I think it'd be interesting to see. I know it's not really a flashy pick, but um, I think with who we have available here, that is that's who I think the Lions should take here.
No, I completely agree. I think the Lions should take either a tackle or a guard here, because you know if you draft a tackle here, you can you add depth this year to either side of the line, but then with the signing of Sewell today, I think Taylor Decker's gone after this season, so you get a guy who can develop a little bit here at number 29, and uh, then you move Sewell to the left tackle. You got someone who could play right tackle now, who developed for a year. Or you can still go offensive guard here as well, like you did with Graham Barton. So yeah, I really like that pick, Mike. I think Lions definitely going offensive line in this tackle for sure, though. So yeah, great pick there. So at number 30 here, it's kind of interesting. I've seen a lot of different things, but I think the number one thing Baltimore needs is an offensive tackle, and I have them taking Tyler Guyton from Oklahoma. This guy will definitely help insulate this offense. They need some help on the run game. They're going to get it with this guy, and also some pass protection as well for this offensive line that desperately needed it, because Lamar Jackson was kind of at points last year running for his life. So I think Tyler Guyton here will definitely help Baltimore out here.
Yeah, another great offensive line pick here. And I'm kind of rolling the same way with pick 31 with the 49ers. I have them taking Jackson Powers Johnson, offensive lineman out of Oregon. Again, can really just bolster that line. They have Trent Williams. They could go edge rusher here. I believe Chop Robinson's still available in our mock, but we like they have Bosa. Do they have Chase Young still, or did he go somewhere else?
No, they still do have Chase Young, so
Yeah, I think that they go offensive line, even though their offensive line is pretty solid.
give more protection to Brock Purdy.
Sir. And then to round us out here, Andrew, give us pick 32.
So here at 32, I think Kansas City, they're pretty solid all over the board. They don't need offensive line necessarily. They don't. I mean, they desperately need wide receivers.
Receivers.
At the same time, I think they could use an edge rusher. I'm torn between having Kansas City take A.D. Mitchell or Chop Robinson here, but I think I'm gonna go with Kansas City taking A.D. Mitchell, which means Chop Robinson falls out of the first round in our mock draft, and I don't think that's gonna happen. But this draft is so deep, it is very possible at the same time here. But Kansas City, they need a receiver that can catch. A.D. Mitchell can fucking catch the goddamn ball. Obviously, they still won the Super Bowl despite having so many drop passes this year. I mean, leading the league in drops. You don't expect a team to win a Super Bowl with that, but ultimately, I think this will benefit Kansas City the most to get A.D. Mitchell. But if Chop Robinson's there, I wouldn't, I could definitely see, Kansas City still taking him, because that is, at that point, best player available, in my opinion, anyways.
Yeah, I think that Chop Robinson's best player available, but need-wise, I feel like wide receiver for the Chiefs. It's got to be the answer. But again, just taking the best player available, I don't think they're wrong in that either.
No, I mean, Kansas City can go so many different directions, I think, with this, but wide receiver and edge rusher, I think, are the two biggest needs on this team, and even edge rusher isn't that big of a need. But yeah, I think this is a pretty solid mock draft here. A lot of trades.
Full list.
Yeah, I will give you the full list here now. So, number one, of course, Chicago taking Caleb Williams, Washington taking Drake May, and New England taking Jaden Daniels. Minnesota gives up pick 11 and 23, and probably some other picks as well here to move up to take JJ McCarthy. Um, so that would be very interesting to see. It's four quarterbacks, the first four picks. That hasn't happened in a very, very long time in the NFL draft. But here, number five, the LA Chargers taking Marvin Harrison Jr. I know that gives you a fucking big boner right there, Mike. I mean, honestly, even if you guys took Malik Neighbors, I think that would give you a big boner. But I have the Giants here taking Malik Neighbors, Tennessee taking Joe Alt, the first offensive tackle on the board. Atlanta taking Dallas Turner. That's the first defensive player taken here in our mock draft. Roma Dunze going to Chicago at 9. Here, I mean, at 9, I think Chicago's could go either way with wide receiver or offensive tackle here. But in our mock draft, we have them taking Roma Dunze. The Jets will then take J.C. Latham at offensive tackle, of course, because they desperately need help at that position. So the first Arizona pick from Minnesota, we have them taking tight end Brock Bowers. I think he's still, pound for pound, the best football player in this draft. And Arizona, they need some weapons, and Brock Bowers will definitely be a weapon here. So that was a great pick by you there, Mike. I have Denver being very, very bold here at 12 with Michael Penix Jr. Kind of a risky pick, I think. You could probably see them trade back if they're going to make this pick too, because they are desperate for a quarterback. I expect them, if they're gonna trade back to get Michael Penix Jr., it'd probably be somewhere with like Green Bay or Tampa Bay. But anyways, you here have at 13 Fashanu, offensive tackle, going to Las Vegas. They need a quarterback too, but offensive tackle is not a bad option here for them. I had New Orleans taking Talisi Fuaga, another offensive tackle here. They need help on the offensive line the most, and they got it. Number 15, you had Indianapolis taking Terrion Arnold, the first corner to go. That's a very interesting pick, but because I believe there are 3 corners that go after him in this mock draft that are better than him, but it is what it is there. Number 16, I had Seattle take Troy Fatanu, offensive tackle. They desperately need help there. Number 17, Quinyon Mitchell, the second cornerback to go here to Jacksonville. Number 18, I had Cincinnati taking the first defensive tackle with Johnny Newton, the best defensive tackle, and they desperately need that spot. So they had, any position they could have gone with, but I think they'll definitely go defensive tackle here. Followed by the Rams, you had them taking Liatu, the second defensive tackle to go, and I had Pittsburgh rounding out the top 20 picks here with Amarius Mims, offensive tackle. Moving on here to our last, 12 picks, we have Miami taking Byron Murphy. I think Miami here, they're going to go either edge rusher or defensive tackle. I could see Chop Robinson going in that spot, but you had them taking Byron Murphy, which is not a bad pick at all. So at 22, I had Philly taking Cooper DeJean. And then Arizona, you had them taking another defensive lineman here in Jared Verse at edge. And then at 24, I had the New York Giants trading back into the first round with Dallas to go and take Bo Nix. Very, very bold prediction from me, but I don't know if it's going to happen, but we'll see. Green Bay at 25, you had them take Nate Wiggins. Great corner. I think he's the second best corner in this draft. So, number 26, I had Tampa Bay taking Kool-Aid McKinstry. 27 is another Arizona pick, and you had them taking Deshaun Newton, defensive tackle here. So Arizona having a ton of picks in this first round. That's kind of scary. Buffalo, I had them taking Brian Thomas Jr. They need a wide receiver, and they're going to get one of the top wide receivers left here. Number 29, You had Detroit take Graham Barton. He could play basically every position on the offensive line, so great utility player for the Lions, and adds massive depth to the Lions as well. I have Baltimore at 30 taking Tyler Guyton, offensive tackle. You had San Francisco taking Jackson Powers Johnson. There's so many fucking memes I can make with this guy's name, but I'm gonna refrain for the time being. But San Francisco, yeah, getting a nice piece here. I think no matter what, I think San Francisco is taking offensive tackle in this draft. And then here at number 32, we had Kansas City, of course, taking A.D. Mitchell, wide receiver. So that is the first ever Mike and Andrew Show mock draft. Mike, you got anything else to add before we end up getting going here?
No, so I think just we'll try and keep this list and let you guys know coming back next episode how many picks we got right out of the 32. Let's hope for, probably we'll say 20, maybe a little bit more. We'll see. The first round is going to be so unpredictable that, I mean, the first few picks are pretty predictable, but after that, I mean, it's going to be a case of which GM likes which players better, because a lot of offensive tackles, a lot of receivers, a lot of defensive backs, a lot of edge rushers, lots of different variabilities here in this first round.
Yeah, it's going to be a crazy, crazy draft. Honestly, if we discount the top three, because, I mean, we know who number one is, and then number two and number three are going to be, you can flip flop them either way. But
Yeah.
after that, if 4 through 32, if we can hit even 10 of those, I call that a successful mock draft because of just how unpredictable I think this draft is going to be. It's going to be insane. I know you and Ian are going to have a great fucking time tomorrow. Yeah, I mean, look, if we could get 10 out of 32 correct here, I call that a successful mock draft. And I will. Are we going to go, like, not counting the trades and just the players that we selected at that point? So, like, for example, say Dallas did the unthinkable and drafted Bo Nix. That is the correct, pick, or no?
Yeah, because we didn't have that many trades. I think we'll put a little caveat. We'll kind of mention that, but yeah, I don't. I mean, they're not going to take Bo Nix, but like, say for example, um, uh, Arizona doesn't end up trading out, and um, Minnesota or whoever, maybe Minnesota trades with the Chargers, and the Chargers move down, um, and the Chargers take Brock Bowers, for example, at 11.
Yeah, okay. We'll have to kind of discuss, the caveats of everything, because we didn't add a lot of trades here, but I think there could be a ton of trades come tomorrow too. So that'll be a thing to keep an eye on for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So with
Yep.
that said, Mike, you got anything you want to add before we get going here?
Now just stay tuned for the draft recap.
Yes, sir. As always, guys, rate, review, subscribe, help us out. Let us know what you want to see. We'll keep doing some fun things like this. Maybe an NBA and an NHL draft, and maybe an MLB draft. I don't think really anyone cares about the MLB draft, to be honest with you, though. But
Yeah.
NBA and NHL draft, I think, would be a lot easier to do and more fun to do as well. But anyways, guys, again, rate, review, subscribe. Yeah, let us know what you want to hear from us. Tuesday's episode is going to be draft review, and if anything big happens in the NBA or NHL playoffs, we'll touch on that as well. But thank you guys so much for listening, and we will see you guys on Tuesday.